Good morning, Fran, Marie, and Joyce. Again, thank you for having me today to be here to speak about something that I'm passionate about, which is Black history.
Mm.
And my passion for Black history, it's presented in a fun, unique way that we call the Black Experience 365, Traveling Black History Museum. And so we are a museum that travels and uh, to display beautiful artwork that really exemplifies the history of our people. This is important to me. This is a dream of mine that's probably started when I was a kid. I'm sure you have some questions for me, so I will tell you some of those stories later. But around high school is when I would, really got into art. I was always an artist myself. A number of their pieces in the exhibits is some of my pieces, especially the dioramas, which you will love. These beautiful recreated scenes of Black history, 3D dioramas of different scenes, and I'll talk about some of those in this interview as well. But at that time, I thought it would be cool for me, as a 15-year-old kid, to own my own museum one day when I would walk through these museums in Miami. And then I got a chance to graduate and go off to Johnson C. Smith University here in Charlotte and really got into the historical things of Black history on that campus, coupled with what I've learned from my grandparents. And got into art really in Johnson C. Smith. But then my career, when I graduated, took a different path. I still loved art and would still do art, but I was mostly working in therapy as a therapist and a counselor for a number of years. And then today got into the world of diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is what I do now. But about 5 years ago is when I really kind of picked up this dream that I had that was kind of placed in the back about Black history and how do I teach it, right? And so I decided to develop this museum and this business called Black Experience 365. And at that time, I said, how do I want this to look? Should it be a brick and mortar or things like that? And I decided to say, no, I want this to be a mobile museum. And there's nothing like this, nowhere as I researched that, be able to take something like this on the road and show schools, teachers, churches, businesses, this exhibit. Like I stated before, everybody doesn't have the opportunity to travel to, DC to see that beautiful museum, or travel to Memphis, Tennessee to see the Civil Rights Museum, or different places across our country that really displays Black history. That's a passion of mine. I love to travel. When I do travel, I make it a priority for me to go into that city, no matter where it's at, and find Black history. And the cool thing is, no matter what city you go into, there is Black history in that city, which means this is why I named my first exhibit Born to Make History, because it was born to make history, and it really exemplifies Black history from ancient Egypt all the way up to Wakanda forever, modern times. And you look at, this 280 piece, 90-piece exhibit of Black history. When you come and walk through it, right? There's about 25 to 27 tables of artifacts and paintings and art around our history. And you start in ancient Egypt, with the Kemet civilization, and we talk about, that we were kings and queens. We wasn't, monkeys that hung on trees back then, right? We was kings and queens. And that is evident, by the way they raid our tombs and steal our gold today. It's like I talk about that all the time. But and then you go into Africa and you see the beautiful art and things that relates to our history from Africa. Then you go through the Atlantic slave trade and you see the Atlantic slave trade and the things that happened there. And then you get into slavery, right? And then from slavery, you go through Jim Crow and civil rights and then modern times, right? With Barack Obama, Michelle, and different pieces for modern and what we've done here. And so it's really a beautiful display of different artwork and experiences that people get to experience. And so we're excited to talk about this today.
Awesome. If you're just now tuning in, you are in for a real treat. Our guest today is Kevin Thomas, the creator of Black X 365. Kevin shares Black history, culture, and experiences that aren't limited to just 1 month. They're honored all year. I'm your co-host, Fran Marie, and our host, Joyce Palmer, CEO and managing partner of JP Financial Group, is here. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to the Proactive Women's Podcast on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite streaming shows. So Book your 30-minute complimentary consultation with JP Financial Group LLC.com. Just go there. Ask for Joyce. Well, Joyce will actually, her assistants will schedule you. Joyce, happy Black History Month.
Thank you, Francine. Thank you so much. And welcome to the Proactive Women podcast, Kevin. Thank you. I've already had my interest perked, or should I say, inspired. So, as you know, JP Financial Group, we are intentional about empowering ladies financially, and we like men too. But we do have an intention to bring information across the board to help our ladies and our men as well financially prepare themselves to be proactive, to plan for a happy, successful retirement. And when I listened to your exhibit, which I cannot wait to experience, it was something you said that just resonated with me. And we may have been talking before the show when you said this, but I wrote it down. Slavery is white people's history. How we overcome is Black history.
Yes.
And so I love that. And I want you to speak on that, because I think I'll tell a personal story. When my daughter was probably about 7 or 8, she would not want to look at anything that came on television or was Black history. She would just burst out crying, and like she was terrified of it. And as parents, we were, trying to instill, you need to know your history. You need to look at this and read this. And my child would be traumatized, and we couldn't figure out what was going on because she was just get totally upset. And as she got older and we worked through it, I think we came to realize that it was something like what you were saying, the images and the visual, what you see when you see slavery, it's disturbing to us as adults. So imagine, children, and here we are trying to put it on them. You need to know your Black history. You need to, but we were focusing, I think, on the wrong thing for them to see and look at. And that, that's why she was like that. But when you flip the script and you say, let's focus on how we overcome the heroes, the advancements, the empowerment, the strength, that we've shown and exhibit to overcome that, then that's something that's not scary. That's not terrifying. That's
inspiring.
That's inspiring, right?
Yeah.
That's inspiring. That's exciting. And that's how I could see a 15-year-old wanting to learn more versus, you know what I'm saying? So, speak to that.
But and that's what they do with our history, right? This is and that piece has given rise to why they have tried to ban our history, right? Because they say you're blaming me for something horrific that happened 200 something years ago. And as many Black history classes I have been in, the Black history class that I have taught, all the books that I have read, we've never blamed anybody. It's not about blaming you for what happened 200 years ago, right? We're telling a story that actually happened and we cannot hide, right? And so when you say, well, why did I come up with that statement? It was particularly around why I built this exhibit. When you come through the exhibit, you will not see the horrific details. I don't even have the KKK in the noose inside my exhibit because it's not about them, right? It's about us. And there's a reason for that, right? I don't have the horrific details in it. And so it's about highlighting the heroes that fought against injustices, right? It's about inspiring our youth, right? I created this because I wanted my daughter to know that it's important for her to understand that the individuals that built the White House is just as important as the ones that lived inside the White House.
Right.
So when she goes to school, they tell you to learn about the president. She needs to know that it's okay to understand that the ones who built that White House is just as important as the presidents that lived inside there. And that story needs to be told, which is why I did this. And so that started for me when I was 12, when I was her age. She's now 13, just turned 13. But it started for me around that same time. And this story I tell in the exhibit of how I became involved in Black history. I got suspended in school for fighting. I always got into fights. And I was fighting because we was poor, and I had the same clothes on day after day a lot of times. And we didn't have the name brand clothes, and somebody was picking on my clothes, and I ended up beating them up on the playground or something and got kicked out of school for a couple of days. And at that time, I had to go stay with my grandfather and my grandmother while I was out because mama had to work.
Of course.
And, me and my grandfather was doing lunch. He would make me cut grass with him when I got suspended. I couldn't sit home. I had to go out there and cut yards with him. But during lunch, he asked me, "Why don't you fight?" And I said, "Bo, I'm sick and tired of being poor." And Bo looked at me and he started laughing. And he said, "Boy, you're not poor. You got your own bathroom." And I looked at my granddad and said, "There's 8 people in this house in one bathroom. We poor." Right? And he said, "I use the outhouse." And he gave me this story about how he fought so hard to make sure that I had the bathroom to use, so I don't have to go outside at 12 years old like he did when he was my age, right? And then he pretended he decided to then give me this story about Black history and the people from my history and what they faced and what they went through, right? And how they had to overcome and all the struggles. One particular story, he talked about the people on the boat and how much they had to eat. And he gave this vivid story of them eating on their hands and eating slop that was thrown into their hands. And some of them died because they didn't have enough food. And then he would look at me and say, "How much food are you going to eat on Thanksgiving that's coming up in 2 weeks?" And I would look at him and I would say, macaroni and cheese and collard greens and chicken and turkey and all this stuff that we was going to have on my grandmama's table. He said, "How did you come from eating 1 spoon of mush on that boat to having anything you could eat on one particular day?"
Right.
That's the sacrifice, right? That the people laid out for us. And so that's what I want to tell in this exhibit. I don't want to talk about the horrific stuff. I want to talk about how do we get from eating that 1 spoon of mush to having, anything we can eat on one day. How do we get from the outhouse to having the bathroom? My daughter now has her own bathroom. She doesn't have to fight like her daddy did to get into a bathroom, right? And so her life is easier than my life growing up. And that's because of my fight as a Black male and what I had to go through to fight through poverty and deal with some of the things I had to deal with so her life can be easier. But my mother, her fight through civil rights and what she had to go through, and my grandparents and what they had, every generation of us had it easier than the last. That's because that last generation made a fight to make sure that we did that. And that's the story that we need to tell. It's not about the horrific details. It's about the historical heroes that gave us a better chance at life than what they had.
Yeah.
Wow. We're going to talk about your event that you're having on February 17th soon. But first of all, most people are confused. Some. What do I do during Black History Month? But you like to take it, throughout 12 months. What are a wish list of 3 places maybe we can take the family to just to...
So obviously, I've been visiting so many places over the last 15 to 20 years. But I would say my top 3 that I've probably visited more than 2 or 3 times is Memphis is number 1.
Okay.
If you haven't had a chance for those who are listening to experience the Civil Rights Museum in Memphis, Tennessee, to experience the Lorraine Motel where King was shot, it is an emotional experience to be able to look into the room and see the same books on the table, the same way it looked than when he was living. And for him to walk out on that balcony, the museum is huge. It's beautiful, a great experience, and I welcome anybody who wants to, get into Black history. That's one of the first places I would tell people to go. But also, Beale Street is very cool too. The blues and things like that on Beale Street, and the music and the food that really, exemplifies our history as well. It's a really cool experience in Memphis, Tennessee. So that's one place I would tell people to go to visit. I would also tell you to go to DC. not just because of the museum that's there now. You have to go see that for those who really wants to see this. A beautiful exhibit. It's going to take you a couple of days to walk through that one. That's huge, right? It's huge. I mean, if you want to get the full experience, for me, it takes about 2 days for me to go through that one. But then also you get to go see Frederick Douglass house. I would tell people to, visit the Frederick Douglass's Cedar Hill. And Cedar Hill is beautiful. You get to go into his home and see, his home and his huge mansion that he lived in on top of a hill, which is what we call Cedar Hill. So that is a great place, obviously, to visit while you're there in DC. But they have so much history in DC, so that would be another place to visit. And then probably my favorite city to travel to is Charleston, South Carolina. I love Charleston. I was down there on this past weekend. Picked up a new thing for the exhibit, so some new art for the exhibit, but it's plantations, the museum in Charleston, the different plantations that you can experience, right? To be able to see the city market where the slaves were kept, right, and sold when they came off the boat. Charleston's kind of the epicenter of where slaves got off the boat at, a lot of times, and then transferred to different parts of our country. But Charleston is a beautiful city, where you can learn about so much of our history and the food, and then the Gullah tours. Love those, being on the tours with them and seeing the life of the Gullah people is beautiful, right? And hearing their stories. So those are probably the top 3 places I would tell people to visit.
Okay. Road trip, Joyce.
I've been to 2. I love that. So I'm a Washingtonian, born and raised in Washington, D.C. And what I would say on that, Kevin, is you're so right. But growing up and living in Washington, D.C., the one thing I regret is I didn't appreciate as much while I was living there. It was not until I moved away from D.C. And lived in Virginia for a little while, now North Carolina. And I'm thinking, okay, you guys don't have that, and so you don't realize sometimes what you have the ability to experience and see sometimes when you live in that city.
Yeah.
So I would definitely agree, Washington, D.C., and even just the city itself is full of history, and it's inspiring history, and it's an opportunity to see us in very, very powerful positions as well in DC. Yep. So, and then Charleston is another place I'm very familiar with. My operation manager and fiance is from Charleston. And so we go there a lot. And that's another place where I love to go to the market and actually hear their stories.
Yep.
And again, an inspiring part is they're full of artists.
Yes.
And some of his family actually make the baskets, and listening and learning the history behind the baskets. You're sitting, you're just thinking they're just weaving a basket, but that was pure art. And the fact that they still maintain that. So yeah, I've not been to Memphis though. So that's the next place I'll check out.
You would love it.
Yeah.
Joyce, I love how you and Kevin are leaving legacies, so we can leave a legacy. It's contagious. And I wish I knew that comeback too, Joyce, when Kevin said that. It's like, it's white history, because a lot of people have put me on the spot. I did a Black history presentation for a 3-letter agency, I will not say. And I was like, wow. They were like, well, what about white history?
Well, and I like I said, I would say that, slavery is white history.
It is.
That is. And I think that's a very profound way to look at it. And that's why I wanted him to elaborate on that, because I really do think when you twist it that way, it also takes away some of the anger and resentment and hate. And, and none of us need that. None of us need it. No. And it's not healthy for any of us. And so when when I look at when you said that, it immediately made me feel less hate, less anger, and more, yeah, we did. We're a pretty dynamic group of people. Look at what we've done.
Here's the,
You know what I'm saying? That's the feeling that it gives me versus when you focus on the you obviously you're not in denial it did happen that way, but I think it's puts a different spin on it when you look at it from the other side versus there.
When they, when I talked about how they're trying to, erase our history today, taking it out of schools, right? Banning it from being taught. It's personal, all right? And when I say it's personal to them and why they're doing it, there is no relevant reason of why they should do this, right? Because our history is not just Black, it's American history. This country would not be here without our sacrifice and all the things that we've done to make this country what it is today. Without it, it would not be here. I tell people all the time, go to work without ironing your clothes. All right. And take away the ironing board because a Black person built that. And so if you think our history is not relevant, then try to iron your clothes without the ironing board and tell me how relevant it is. Just something that's small and basic, right? Something that we do every single day that we just take for granted. That's just customary. But I talk about this obviously when they say, why we're taking away Black history. No other history is being taken away. They're not taking any other history away out of schools but ours. As a matter of fact, and I'm not anti-Semitic at all. And I fight for my Jewish brothers and sisters just as much as I fight for my Black brothers and sisters in their fight, right? Everybody, even our Latino brothers and sisters and what they have to go through. But the Holocaust and the history of that is actually forced to be taught in school. I remember growing up in school having to watch the Diary of Anne Frank multiple times. And write papers on this, girl stuck in the attic hiding from, Hitler and his people and her family. And we had to learn that, right? My daughter has to learn the same story right now. And it's mandated that you learn this. And I say, why is it mandated that we learn about the Holocaust? Because in this country, we was the heroes. America was the heroes in the Holocaust. We went over there and freed the Jews, right? And we fought Hitler for them. And so we pound our chest and throw our hands up and say, yes, we did this. But see, slavery, we birthed that baby. That's ours. And so we don't want to tell that story. And I'm not trying to knock the Holocaust, but that was 10 years of horrific experiences for the Jews. But you can't equate that for 400 years of what we've been through, right? But that's not okay to tell that 400-year story. But it's okay to tell this 10-year story. How do you equate that, right? How do you say that's okay? And that's why this is important. And so when I say that, slavery is white history, I'm not saying it's your history, that person that's in front of me. Yeah. Well, it's a part of white history. And just as much as the experiences that we've experienced is a part of my history. We cannot forget that. And the moment we forget that, then we are doomed to repeat it. And so you can see what's happening today in society because, our children don't know. Not just our children. We got old folks who don't know. They come to my exhibit, they're like, I didn't know this. Right? I never learned this before, and so when African American studies is an elective, not a mandated course, that's a problem, right? When you say that we can't learn about Harriet Tubman only on Black History Month, that's a problem. Our history is, Fran, when you say, why did you go 365? Well, I'm sorry, but Harriet Tubman didn't say, I'm going to wait till February to go free slaves from the South.
Right. Exactly.
She went with her when it was time for her to go. And she didn't care what day, what time, or what month it was. She wake up out of bed at midnight and jump on her clothes and say, I got to get down south and go pick up some more slaves. So our history needs to be taught just that way. We don't wait till February to teach this because the people that's in my exhibit, say Join the Truth. She didn't walk around in February talking the truth. So Join was walking around every day of the week and twice on Sundays trying to teach that story. And so we have to highlight this every single day, just as much as we highlight everything else. And our kids needs to know this.
Is the best website, Kevin, Black Experience 365?
So it's blackx365.com is the website.
So folks can go to Black and then the letter X.
black365.com. And they can learn about the exhibit. Right now, we have 4 exhibits coming up in the next week.
Okay.
The 17th is Johnson C. Smith University. In the closed exhibit is for the students and faculty from 11 to 4, but then the open to the public piece of that is from 5 to 8. So individuals can sign up for that on our website right now. There is a $20 charge for the public to come. One of the unique things that we do, and people think I'm crazy, but I never charge more than charge over $20 to come to the exhibit. And I've had organizations who likes to partner with us, because we do partner with organizations to use our exhibit, as a tool to increase networking, increase fundraising, or community engagement. And they would say, well, we want to charge $50 or $60. And I would say, no, we're $20. That's it. Because we want everybody to be able to come to the exhibit and experience this in the way that they need to experience it. So that's on the 17th from 5 to 8. You can sign up for that. That's actually on the website. But then we're also going to be at CPCC on the 18th and 19th, Cato campus, for the exhibit. And the community is able to come out to that one if they want to. But that's already been paid through from CPCC. So that's their exhibit. The 18th and 19th on Cato campus, starting at 11 to 5 for their exhibit. And then we would be in Onslow County, Jacksonville, North Carolina on the 21st with the NAACP there to have the exhibit on display on that Saturday in Jacksonville, North Carolina. So if there's others out there, there's still some time this month. If you want the exhibit, on the weekend, we do have some Saturdays available. Other than the 21st, but we do have the 28th available. So if there's a church out there or organization want to have a great Black History experience for this month, please reach out to us. But also, this is not just February. We will have exhibits in March, April, and May. Obviously Juneteenth is a hot month for us. People call about that already. But we want to be able to partner with you if you're looking to do a fundraising event. Use our exhibit just as much as you would use a Beyonce or some celebrity to come out to try to increase your ticket sales, right? To get people out, use the exhibit to say, hey, we got this beautiful exhibit. And as an organization, if you do that, you get it for free, right? So it costs you nothing, just the time and the space and the tables, and we'll take care of everything else. But we love to partner with organizations through networking, through fundraising, just a community engagement piece, churches. It's a great opportunity for you as a church to, especially our Black churches, to say this is what we're doing for our community. All right, I challenge our Black churches to get more involved. Right, not just on Sunday, but every day of the week. We need to be more involved. We have to be more present. And so, my exhibit is there to make sure that I'm doing my small part for this. And we will continue to build. This is just the first exhibit. We have more exhibits coming up down the road. 2 of you, the ones you guys will like, that's our next exhibit that will come out, not this summer, but next summer in 2027. It's called the Roses That Grew from Concrete exhibit. And that exhibit is all about Black women throughout history. And so it'll talk about the heroes of all the Black women throughout history, right? Yeah, so that's called Roses That Grew from Concrete. But that's the exhibit that we're currently building right now, and that will come out in 2027 as we continue the tour with the Black experience, Born to Make History one, which expels on everybody. So we're going to continue to build more exhibits in the future.
Good. We're going to mark our calendar for that one.
Yeah, that's going to be a big one.
Sure.
Baby's going to like that one.
Well, I know we can keep you here forever. So I know we got like 3 more minutes. 365 Black, the letter X, 365.com. That's where we need to go. Are you on social media? Do you like social media? Do you like?
Yes. So on our website, you'll find our social media on our website as well. We're on Instagram, and we're also on TikTok for the Black experience. So, but you can see all those things on our website as well.
I love it. You keep doing what you're doing. Joyce, you keep doing what you're doing. Wow.
And you keep doing what you're doing, Francine.
Yes, thank you,
We're
Fran.
going to keep doing what we're doing.
That's right. That's it.
Yeah.
If I can leave a parting word, for the audience, It's one of the message. It's the closing message of Bo's front porch. The story that I tell in the exhibit piece. In that story, that part of the exhibit is called Lessons from Souls of Old. And so through that Lessons of Souls of Old, I talk about that. The blood in our body is not ours. That blood's been passed down from generation to generation to generation with the hope that every time that blood's been passed down, the next generation will have a better chance at life than the last. My grandfather would tell me that all the time as a kid. And he would look at me and he would say, as a black male, you're going to have to work extra hard to be average. So how much harder are you willing to work to be the best? There's no excuses. A man don't make excuses. He makes a way. And, and so whenever I get upset and I get frustrated, he would say, the blood in your body is not yours, Kevin. And I think I look at that today and I realize he was right, because my daughter has no idea what poverty is. I grew up in it. She doesn't. She doesn't experience that because, and I let her know, sweetheart, the blood in your body is not yours, right? Mm-hmm. It's been passed down to you with this hope that you will pass it down to your kids one day with a better chance of life than what you had. That is the dream of every last one of us, because at the end of the day, we are our ancestors' wildest dreams. And I live that message every single day, knowing that this blood is not mine. I'm just holding it, until I give it to the next generation, as much as they did for me.
Awesome.
You better drop the mic. Where's your mic? Just drop it. That is you are a gem. You are so valuable. Thanks to all your ancestors. I bet ours knew yours at some point.
They all did. They're up there looking down on us right now, just with a big bright smile on their face, knowing that dream came true in some shape, form, or fashion. So
they see us on Zoom. Wow, Joyce, I don't know how to get out of this one.
Well, we're definitely been inspired this morning with that, Kevin, and I'm looking forward to 2027 already. And we have already going to put our little pen in, if you will, to participate in any way that we can. JP Financial Group is a pink world, and pink is the new color of money here. So,
well, please,
that's it. So
come out on the 17th. Come out 5 to 8 on the 17th. Johnson C. Smith. You can sign up on the website. I sent Fran a flyer. There's a QR code for you to sign up. You don't have to pay online. You pay when you get there. And so we invite everybody to come out on the 17th at Johnson C. Smith in the library. It's going to be there, and you will love the exhibit.
I know. When was the last time we went to a library, y'all? Come on. Come on, as Michael Jackson would say. We want to thank folks for tuning into the Proactive Woman podcast. I'm your co-host, Fran Marie. We have our host, CEO, and managing partner of JP Financial Group, LLC. You can go to jpfinancialgroupllc.com and you can schedule your 30-minute complimentary consultation. Joyce is doing more workshops on money. She just came off a huge campaign getting everybody in their Social Security right, Medicare right. Yeah, you need somebody to hold your hand. And Joyce is a trusted source with her colleagues. So thank you for that, Joyce. Thank you, Kevin Thomas. And everybody like, subscribe, and share, right?
Yeah.
All right. We will see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.